Hello Zimbabwe, hello South Africa, hello India, Canada, UK, Australia, Japan. Hello everyone all over the world. So today we have an interesting job, trust me. We have this Asus laptop. You know, my assistant is booking all the jobs for me. So what did he write here? Flashing, there's user password. So we have to see what this laptop is doing. It's Asus. Let me see the model. Asus F553M. Asus F553M. That's the model of this Asus. It's Intel. Okay, let's power it on. On. And enter password. Okay, so we have to understand these things. This is the BIOS password. You can't do anything. It's not like user password. Here we have a BIOS password. So how we can fix something like this? Invalid password. We can't guess. So how do we remove BIOS passwords? So that's what we have tonight. So BIOS password. Let's open the laptop. No, this is not the password from the hard drive, like a user password. This is BIOS password. So on BIOS password, we have to get inside to see what kind of motherboard we have. We locate the BIOS chip. The next thing is to try to reload another firmware on the BIOS chip. That's the only way we can fix this. This is one way. This one way. Let's see now. So we are now inside our laptop, and that's the motherboard. We have the battery, CD drive, that's the HDD, hard drives. That's 500 gig HDD. So what I would do, I'll take out this hard drive. Let's take out the hard drive. The hard drive is out. Let's power on the laptop, and we still have password, you see. So this password has nothing to do with the user password. This is a BIOS password, and I think now you understand. So let's power off the laptop. Now we need to go on the other side of the laptop. We need to go on the other side of the laptop. Need to go on the other side of the laptop. Yeah, it seems as if someone wants to fix the battery connector. So we failed to be careful here. We ended up having a broken connector. It's very easy to block this connector. Okay. Now we need to take out the motherboard so that we'll try to locate where our BIOS chip is. So how is everyone? People are fixing things outside there. Yeah, it's quite quiet these days, very quiet. So I am fixing things, but not like before. Not the way I used to fix before. That's the network card, 8 gig DDR3 solid RAM. Okay. And here we do have Winbond BIOS. Maybe you can see this one, like MOSFET, but it's very big. That's our BIOS chip. Okay. The problem, I don't know whether this is the BIOS for the PCH or for the PC chip. That's the problem. And we are like, you can see the last pin of the BIOS chip, you know, pin number 4 is the ground, this one, and pin number 8 is going straight to the ITE chip here. You can see 00. So this BIOS chip is for the EC chip, so we are saved. So we can reprogram this chip. So what do we need? We need to take down the chip. We need to take down the chip. I do have my programmer here. That's the programmer. So I'll take down the chip and we'll try to program together. Flux. Let's take the chip down. That's our BIOS chip. Now the next step, I need an earbud just to clean up the BIOS. You have to clean up the BIOS so that everything will be fine. So the next step is to put the BIOS chip on the BIOS programmer. Remember, we are using EZP 2019 Plus BIOS programmer. We put the BIOS on position. Let me see what kind of BIOS chip is this. First, Winbond. (25Q62) 25Q64F 25Q64F BIOS. So I'll put the BIOS on the programmer, just as simple as that. The next thing, we need to go on desktop. 1 second. So now we move to desktop. Okay. On the desktop, we need to open EZP 2019 BIOS application. After that, let's connect our BIOS thing. Let's test. Chip detected. Chip is detected. Now we need to find Winbond. That the next step is to find the chip. It's Winbond 25. Winbond 25X. No, it's not X, it's Q. 25Q64. Yeah, that's the one. That's an 8 megabytes BIOS chip. Okay, so we find the chip. Let's read. We are now reading the chip. We want to see what is inside the chip. So let's just be patient and read the chip. Because if the chip is detected, we must be able to read the chip. That is the first step. As reading. Chip is empty. Why? while the chip is empty. While the chip is empty, so let's see why this chip is saying empty. So it's Winbond 25Q64. We tried with the Q64, it's saying empty. So what I want to try, 25Q40, 25Q64 1.8 BIOS. Let's try with 1.8. Let's read again. Let's read again the chip. Maybe this is a 1.8 volts BIOS chip. 25Q64 1.8 BIOS chip. Let's try to read it again. Let's try to read it again. And another thing, hopefully I'll find the bin file for this Asus. Hopefully. Yeah. I think read complete. You can see we do have binary data. You can see now we have something. So the next step, we have to save this. I will save, let's call it Asus backup. It's yeah, just Asus backup. Now we need to erase the chip. Let's erase the chip. I think I'll look for another BIOS programmer. This one is very slow. It's very slow, I don't know why. But let's just wait. Let's just wait. We erase the chip. We try to look for another BIOS bin file. Erase complete. Now let's disconnect the programmer. Let's put it back. Closing the program. We open the program again. Test detected. Let's read the chip again. Because we have to make sure that the chip is empty. We have to make sure that our BIOS chip is empty. You know how I hate these software things. If it was hardware, checking some power rails, power supplies, try to fix. But you know the software things. Every manufacturer these days is trying to make things complicated software and hardware. The software is trying to override hardware, trying to link every chip with the software, things like that. Chip is empty, you see. So now we are 100% sure our BIOS chip is flashed or is erased. The next thing, let's open up. Let's try to look for the BIOS desktop, new BIOS dump files, Asus F553M. I think that's the one. We can try. Now let's write the chip. We've loaded our dump file, our buffer here. The next step, let's write the chip. We are now writing our BIOS chip. It's very simple. Very simple. All what you have to do is to ensure that you get links for the dump files, for the bin files, and you also get you buy a programmer which is very cheap on AliExpress, because there's no way you can treat such kind of jobs if you don't have the BIOS programmer. You can't. So now we are rewriting the chip. After rewriting the chip, we will verify if the chip is written before we solder it back. Write complete. So let's close the program. Let's disconnect the programmer. Let's put back the programmer. Let's open the program. Let's read the chip to see if there's now something on the chip. And this procedure is very simple. Very simple. Nothing is complicated here. Now we are reading the chip because we want to make sure that the chip is empty. We want to make sure that the chip is empty before we resolder back the chip in position. That's reading. Read complete, and you see the chip has now something. It's no longer empty. You can see some data. So that's all. That's all what we have to do. So let's disconnect here. Let's check out our BIOS chip. What do we need here? You know what? Let's check out the chip. And we have to know the chip position. You have to know chip position. Let's resolder the chip back in position. So our BIOS chip is now in position. What I need to do is to make sure that all the pins, they are soldered properly before we can put back the motherboard for testing. So I'm just soldering those pins manually. And that's all. That's all what we have to do. That's all what we have to do. So do you think we now have a working laptop? Do you think we now have a working laptop? I'm curious to know. If we now have a working laptop. Why? Why is it so hard to put this motherboard back in position? Okay. Screen connector plugged. The connector for the USBs. Plugged. Fan connector. Speaker connector. We need to put the network card. Network card plugged. Now it's that moment to prove. Now is that moment to prove. Or I think we can reset this board a little bit before we put the battery connector. Maybe let's power on. And you see, everything seems to be fine here. So what I'll do, I'll put all together, because we need the keyboard here so that we can change the date settings and the likes, and then we'll see if everything is working fine here. But you see, our BIOS password is normal, so that's how you can remove a BIOS password from any laptop motherboard. You need to reprogram the BIOS chip. So let me put all together, and then we check if everything is working fine. Let's see now. On. Yeah, we reflash the BIOS, so we have to be patient a little bit. Asus. You can see the Windows log. Please wait. And it's loading Windows. You see, there's no more BIOS password. So that's how you fix. Yeah, everything is fine. I'm sure the keyboard is fine. Let's restart. I want to test the keyboard. So you see, this is very important, because you can easily flash BIOS and reload the firmware. We don't want to get inside. Let's power off the laptop. Want to try to get to BIOS settings. On F2. I'm sure F2. And you see, the keyboard is responding. So that's how you can fix something like that. So I'll stop this video now. Like, subscribe, don't forget to turn on the notification bell. See you on the next replay. Bye.